My name's Kelly, this is Ashley.
If any of you guys follow us in the space, first of all, thank you for supporting us through all of this. I think there's just like some misunderstandings.
Real shit happens in life, and
yeah,
we make lifestyle videos, so it's like
literally based on our lives.
It's based on our lives. So like we're here now sitting in this chair talking about our lives, where most cases it's not on the internet for people to be able to perceive and talk about. So, you know, it comes with the job. It's maybe not one of the perks all the time, but you know, it is what it is. I think one of the problems with maybe my video, and just being honest, is that I didn't put myself in the perspective of you guys and just like what you guys are seeing. Yeah. I was almost talking directly to Elliot in my video instead of talking to you guys, really explaining my frustrations. Yeah. Because I was actually not that upset with Elliot's video. It was things that happened outside the video, everything that happened up until the video.
And I think the video and just like the posting of it was like the last straw. It
was so triggering to me that like I think people just didn't understand, like, well, Kelly, just relax. Like, it's just, he just posted before you. But it was more so, it was more than that. It was like all this other stuff that we can get into that happened before. It wasn't like the video itself didn't make me want to make that response. It was like, one, the act of posting that before us, and then all these other things that had happened between us as a group before.
I never heard from him personally about any issue or any feelings of like resentment that he might have had with me or with Kelly. And I do try my best to like keep an eye for people and make sure that everyone's doing okay. But at the same time, I think it was something that like needed to be communicated to me. I do want to note that throughout this whole process, everyone tried to be like as inclusive as they could. But at the end of the day, like we're all still solo YouTubers. We're all doing our own thing. We all have friendships, relationships outside of the house. Although we do work together, like we didn't really like have this expectation that we had to do everything as a group. And I maybe think as viewers, the viewers really expected that we had to do everything as a group. I think that is how that house kind of started. But then we realized quickly, hey, we can't make every video together because it's way too hard to sync up schedules. Everyone's busy at different times. So like slowly we all started to make more solo content. And then I think people were like, something must be wrong. We kind of realized as YouTubers for ourselves that people still really value like one-on-one videos with each of us, and that like we still want to like have our own separate communities as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, like these are our own channels. Like we're not obligated to shoot with everyone. If Elliot's not in the video, that didn't mean like I hate Elliot or something. Like doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just like
same with you, Ashley.
People are busy, and like I said, everyone has like their own friendships and things like outside of like the house. And even like Issa lived here with Anne Marie for a portion of time, maybe like 2-3 weeks. Lived in Kelly's room and then moved into Anne Marie's room. But like we've always had like Issa in the house. We had Luke in the house for like multiple months. There's always been 4 or 5 people in the house at all times, so that we could really try to balance out the dynamic and make sure that like everything's feeling like pretty equal. And we obviously do not want anybody to be left out. I think like what's unfortunate is Kelly and I had a lot of family trips that were pre-planned probably like 6 months in advance. Like they had been planned for very long times. It's not like something that we could cancel on or like should cancel on. And they're also family trips that like you're only expected to go on, I feel like, with a significant other.
One of the trips that we did that I think a lot of people know about is the trip that we did with my family. This was at a similar time when Anne Marie left. This is where Elliot said like where there was a turning point for him. And he blamed, I'm just being honest. Like he could tell you guys too that he blamed me and Ashley for leaving him at that time.
It was terrible timing.
It was terrible timing, but
terrible timing.
At the end of the day, like my priority is like I have to choose family over my friends, and I feel like the theme of this trip was because my grandma died, and when my grandma died, it was so hard on my mom. It was my mom's mom, and so we did this trip, and we spent time together, and that's where my head was at. I am sorry to Elliot that like I wasn't there for him as a friend at that time. Yeah, I wish like you know. He could understand that, and we've talked about this. I know like we're filming, but I mean I just called him and he wouldn't pick up, and I just want to talk to him more. That was what my priority was taking care of my family, and I don't have any regret. Like, I was gonna go on that trip. My parents invited Ashley because like see a long future with Ashley, and yeah, it's just obviously unfortunate timing, but that's just kind of like what that was. And I think a lot of Elliot's resentment was from that time period. Elliot was going through a lot of this for months before he told me, which was the first person I think he told. He never spoke to you.
Yeah. Which I wish that I could have been there for him as a friend in the way that I wanted to, but it's like hard because I can't read people's minds, obviously.
When we came back from our trip, like, it's not like Elliot's just there all the time either. You know, he's also doing his own thing.
I feel like
he's spending nights other
out
places.
Of the house. I mean, I'll be honest, like, he wasn't home that often, and it's hard to include people when they're not home, and that's fine because I feel like, I mean, like I said, people have other friends, they're doing their own things, he's filming on his own, that's fine. But like, I don't think that there should have been that expectation, like, that we had to do everything together. And
I think, like, you know, the purpose of this video is not to bash Elliot, but just to give context for both sides. I think, like, what I said in my video was, like, I did not give enough context.
Yeah.
I really wish that I was addressing and giving you guys, like, you know, more of what happened versus I gave you guys, like this much. And so it left you guys up to speculation. And, you know, obviously now the last few days, it's just been, like...
not fun.
Kelly's you know, what a fucker. Like, you fucking suck. Like, Kelly, go die. Like, you know, I've gotten so many comments that are like, same. Kelly, like, I will beat your ass. I'll kill you. Like, yeah. So it's like, you know, this is like serious shit. Like, I'm not, you know, it's like, I don't want to die.
It's like over stupid stuff too. Like, there's, like, the feelings between everyone, like, isn't like that bad where like comments have to say like, I hate this person, or like, it's just not like at that extent. Like, it's not like crazy deep or anything. We are just making YouTube videos at the end of the day, guys. We're making this video so everyone involved can, one, have clarity, and two, just like breathe. Because I think if you're involved with this, especially on our end, like, you know, it sucks to just wake up in the morning and have someone text you like about it or something. And so I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just like been there. It's been as in the past.
And this is kind of like therapy for us, honestly. Like,
it feels good to just like say it to the camera, regardless of if we post it or not.
We don't even know if we're gonna post this, honestly. My friends are so important. Elliot has been my friend for so long, and when all this stuff is happening, and we had this discussion about like the end of your mom's house, like kind of like moving on. I mean, you can contest for me. I never cried more. I like Kelly. Well, I don't want to like expose you. I don't care. Like, this is. But like, that was the hardest I've ever seen Kelly cry. Inconsolable. I don't even know if that's a word. For like probably like 3 hours at least. Whoa, was it 3 hours? Maybe like 2 hours. I mean, as of right now, Elliot and I are not even like communicating. Like, we're just not communicating like that right now. Just because a lot, like, you know, we'll get into it. But yeah, it's definitely sad. Like, that was like one of the saddest things to hear, that we were gonna stop the house. And, you know, it felt like, you know, losing a best friend kind of in a way. Just at the time we were like, it's fine. Well, you know, he was still gonna be in the city. I'll still be in the city. Like, we'll still see each other and hang out. But it was super sad. And then, you know, all this other stuff happened, which we'll get into. The YouTube comments did not hurt Elliot and I's relationship. Everything that hurt our relationship happened before all the posting of the videos. Yeah, I agree. Comments of Elliot's videos, like, don't even matter at this point. Yeah. It was just the things that happened beforehand. And specifically with me and Elliot, the relationship between us, like us being friends, going into posting our last videos, we were not friends. Like, Elliot and I, like, I mean, if I just categorize a friend as someone who like hangs out, like, we were not hanging out because we were beefing. Like, we were just not seeing eye to eye. I think everyone has probably done wrong things, and that's what happens because we're human and it's impossible to communicate clearly. Now, just to clear up a little bit about the posting, basically we all had agreed that we would do a joint podcast, just kind of like go over the end of the house. It's supposed to be an hour-long podcast, give you guys more clarity, reminisce. We got a message, reminisce on like some of the good times, even like go over some of the bad times, and just like chat about it and be really open with you guys. And that was the plan. So we go to our old house. It's Kelly, Elliot, me, and our property manager who's just like randomly there. Yeah. Keep in mind, this is the first time we're getting together after like a ton of shit went down.
Yeah, it was actually in over a month.
Yeah.
It was the first time the three of us had so we are all planning on filming the podcast, and we are also planning on all filming separate videos in addition to the podcast. Kelly and I were just trying to chat and figure out when we should be posting everything. We're thinking, hey, why don't we post the podcast on October 1st?
Yep.
And then we're going to post our announcement moving out videos on the 9th. That way it gives ample time, I feel for viewers to absorb the end of the house.
And that was just our ideal schedule.
Just our ideal schedule. Elliot's ideal schedule for him was he wanted to post the podcast on the same day that he announced, which was on the 8th. Because once we told him the 1st, he was there's no way I can have it ready by the 1st. Because that was our initial podcast. Yeah. He's literally there's no chance. We say, hey, why don't we do both the podcast and the announcement videos on the 5th?
We tried to compromise.
We really tried to compromise. I felt the 5th is right in the middle. We still agreed to post our separate videos also on that same date, and I guess just have it all just be bam, announcement, whatever, all at the same time. And he still said, there's no chance I can finish my personal video by the 5th. Really, really strongly said he cannot post. And at that point, just tension in the room, and from there, we're just okay, it's not the right space to be filming a podcast, so we're not going to film the podcast today. I guess we will all just post our separate videos, and that'll be that. And those videos will go up on the weekend of the 8th and 9th, which were the original dates that we were going to post the separate videos anyway. And then, somehow, miraculously, his video gets posted on the 2nd. So at that moment, Kelly and I are editing our videos to go up on the 9th, and we get a YouTube notification that's Elliot just posted a new video. First of all, I'm wondering literally how, and then also why. It was just such a blow. Literally,
we just felt really backstabbed.
My stomach dropped. I was just so confused and honestly felt very betrayed. And it was just it was so unfortunate. And at that point, Kelly and I are okay, I guess we need to get our videos up earlier. The earliest we could get it up was the 5th, so that is the day that we posted our videos. But they were originally intended for the 8th and 9th, and it was just now Kelly and I also had videos queued up beforehand that now we're not posting. I have multiple videos where I'm I think I have to scrap them now, because I had videos in the old house that I was still intending to post before then. It's just such a mess.
Yeah, and keep in mind that we were super upset that he posted this video when he, obviously said differently, and just we just felt very backstabbed. And this was a cherry on top. It wasn't this bothered us that much, because if you're just listening to this, it's okay, it's not that big a deal. He just posted before. It bothered us because
on top of everything else that he said.
We're about to get into what really happened before this. It might not make sense why it matters too, but it matters because if Elliot posts before us, it's he controls the narrative at that moment, and
yeah, and then I feel we get so many people are in my DMs, why are you not responding about Elliot's video? And it's I literally was not expecting to post it until a week later.
Yeah.
So I'm oh, it was just then I'm rushing to finish my video. There's all these influx of comments as well that are all only see Elliot's perspective. It looks like Elliot's the only one leaving the house, despite us all having agreed to leave at the same time. And
it's upsetting to us just because he knows how much work we're doing in terms of trying to make it work, and also all the other videos that we have planned, and it felt like a slap in the face kind of thing. All right, I'm going to point this at me.
Oh, okay.
Okay? This is exactly what happened. This is just why we were beefing in the first place. We're best friends. It's just this just happens between friends, and currently in the house, it is Issa, Ashley, myself in the house. Issa was living in the house when Amory was living in the house.
Very late.
Yeah,
I will say that.
We announced Issa very late because we wanted to protect Issa from feeling people were gonna say, oh, she replaced Amory, even though Issa was actually supposed to be there in the beginning. We tried to have Issa there in the beginning. I want to say this was 3 months ago. I could be wrong. It could be a little bit longer, a little bit less. Ellie pulled me aside. He gave me a letter and just told me to read it. So I read it, and it was kind of, stuff he said in his video, how he was just, what he was going through. Okay, he was going through, can't stop thinking about the house. I feel you and I haven't been as close recently. Heartfelt, and just, hey, let's reconvene our friendship. And I had no idea what this was about at the time.
I think it was hard to tell that anything was wrong because he also wasn't home very often.
For us also, we were doing stuff as well.
Everyone
I was
like
doing stuff
in
solo.
different places.
Ashley was doing stuff solo. We were all doing stuff solo at that time because we just kind of needed a break. In general, I felt like.
Yeah, because we realized that doing group content, as fun as it was, also was like
draining.
And it was very hard to like get everyone on the same page. And that was a mutual agreement between everyone.
Basically, it was a letter. As soon as I read that letter, he was staying at a friend's house that night, and I went straight to where he was. We have like each other's locations. Yeah, it's adorable. I know. And I went straight to where he was, and I was like, bro, like, why didn't you just talk to me? Like, this is gonna be fine. Like, don't worry about it. And it was that night that he finally like opened up to all this stuff that I had no idea was going on. And he just was like, he told me straight up that he hated Ashley. And I was like, bro, like, why do you hate Ashley? I was just like, bro, you don't mean that. Like, come on, like, relax. Like, you don't mean that.
But did he say why?
He did not have a good explanation why he hated Ashley, but it was genuinely because instead of Elliot having me to himself, it was more so like shared time with Ashley. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely like, who wants to hear your best friend says, I hate your girlfriend? Like, you're supposed to obviously support each other. And so I thought that he was just overreacting. I thought it was like, okay, it's not, don't worry, like, okay, relax. Whoa, we're group house, we're living together, like, take a breather. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't tell Ashley. At that moment the words he told me. I thought like I was doing right by not saying, and also the fact that we have so much time left on our lease.
Yeah, I think you thought that he didn't mean those words.
And so, time goes on, and I start, actively trying to prioritize Elliot from that point on. And I even told Ashley, I think, we're obviously strong enough that like, hey, I need to spend
time with Elliot
because like he's obviously hurting. I'm like, okay, I'm there. Like I'm there for my best friend. And so that's where the priority became that. And this was a month, 2 months, and we did a ton of group events.
And even I actually chatted to Elliot one-on-one as well. And like we really had a heart-to-heart. I mean, I literally told Elliot, like, I love you. Like, you're like my brother, and I want to make sure that everything's okay with the two of us. And like, this is gonna make me cry. I like really thought,
this is like a super, super sensitive subject for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, I just like really thought it sounded like we were gonna make things better. He told me like he kind of like when we were gone maybe made like a bit of like a false reality, or just like got like a bit paranoid about the situation, which I could totally understand. We agreed, hey, we have different love languages. I will buy Elliot, like I said, his favorite chips all the time, like do all these things, and like he doesn't, like, that's not his love language.
His love language is like his love language deep quality time.
Like I realized, hey, I need to spend more time with Elliot. Like we agreed that we think it's best to like get together in group settings more, and like I had that mutual agreement with him, and then from there we did more group things.
I would say like all the group things that you saw online for the last 6 months was put on by Ashley, like
a lot of times
and myself.
And even Issa too. Me and Issa would always like cook dinner and like do all these things.
And so
and you would do the boating and the trip to your hometown.
We thought it was getting better. We thought as a group, we genuinely thought it was getting better. Still, Ashley didn't know Elliot like had said these words to me. I wanted to protect Ashley and Elliot's friendship. I thought, if I told her that, it's done. There's no chance that your mom's house can continue. And I'm like, yo, like, I want to continue this. This is a great thing we have going. And then he just said he couldn't do it. Like he told me, I remember he's just like, like he couldn't get over his feelings. And his feelings, I'm kind of telling this out of order. His feelings were rooted. Like, and I mean, I could literally call him and tell him. I literally just tried to call him just earlier that it was rooted in when Ashley and I went on a trip. So our family trip. Mm-hmm. I'm just re-explaining.
Yeah.
Basically, this trip was a over 2-week trip. Elliot was not invited. It was my family. My family, like, we only bring significant others on any trip.
I mean, it was really kind of your parents to invite me and to bring me on that and be so welcoming to me.
The trip was pretty much for my grandma, who just recently died, which was my mom's mom. And it's just like, of course I'm going to prioritize my family. Like, I have to be there for my family. Even looking back, I don't regret it. Like, cause like obviously family means the most to me. This trip was planned forever. It was going to happen whatever time. And basically Elliot was left at the house for over 2.5 weeks.
And I think this was the one time also that Issa was actually also in Europe.
Issa was living with us at the time.
Yeah, but Issa had left for Europe for maybe like part of that, or
I think so.
Possibly the whole time. I'm not sure. I think that's maybe what did it, is that it was just him by himself for those 2 weeks. But for the rest of the time, he was not alone. I will say that.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a million times. Like, this is where it definitely went downhill, is because he was alone and he was questioning Ashley and I's intentions.
I think it's hard because since we're also doing business together, it's kind of like if we have this business entity, he kind of felt like, hey, Kelly and Ashley went on this trip without me. I think he felt like he was outnumbered 2-1, which is completely understandable. And I just don't think that us as a business entity was a good idea. I don't think it was bound to work, and that's like what kind of led to like its demise.
Basically, like at that time, that's where he really built this resentment towards us. That's what he says in his video. For us, like I really couldn't do anything to prevent that. I just like wish he had told me as soon as we got back that he was feeling this way. But then he, you know, like I said about the letter and stuff, like, or like him bringing it up, wasn't till, you know, months after. He was like struggling and I had no idea. And Elliot told me he's not like very confrontational.
I mean, that was our whole issue. Like, we had our most recent conversation we had with him was really just like, he kind of just said, hey, I'm not confrontational, and that is why things happened the way it did.
I also want to talk about when we went off to our family vacation. Mm-hmm. Like, when we did this family vacation, it was 2 weeks. I'm like, I know I'm talking about this, and you're probably like, it's not a big deal, guys. But it was a really big deal to Elliot. And I think on his end, he doesn't understand our values. We have different values where I know to him, like, friends mean just as much as family to him. Like, it is like
equal, or even like more,
or even more. Like, friends are his
best friend. Yeah.
Friends are his chosen family. He's told me this. These are like words verbatim, and like that's just where it's different. He just was like, he felt abandoned as a friend because we went on this trip, and he was not being as prioritized. You know, this was like, I just want to, you know, even say this, like I when Elliot and I said this, like I apologized to Elliot that I was like, yo, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not meaning to do this. Like, I'm not trying to hurt you in any way. I just wish that we had talked more in order so then it didn't like go down this rabbit hole of like his resentment towards me and Ashley. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, I think going also to his resentment, I do get very confused on why it was more centered on like me specifically, because
well, you were taking, like, Elliot's my best friend, so like you being in the picture is taking away from Elliot and I's time, which is I would just being honest, is Elliot's problem that he can't like see his best friend being in a relationship. And just to be clear, our relationship that Ashley and I before the house even started, every roommate knew we were a thing. Yeah. Everybody knew. We weren't like dating or anything. Like I there was like
literally like
sparks.
Like specifically like sat down with like the roommates. I don't think I physically sat down, but like I literally like talked with them like very outright and said, "Hey, are you sure you want me living in the house? Kelly and I have been talking. It's likely that we will maybe date down the line." The biggest actually risk for us that I was thinking is, what if Kelly and I break up? Because then that's really awkward. We're in the house together. We're living together. What if like I need to break the lease, or Kelly wants to break the lease? Or like, what if it becomes so awkward in the house if we break up? But before we ever signed the lease, like weeks before we ever signed the lease, I made sure that we were moving in with a group of people that all knew, hey, Kelly and I are a thing. It's going to be fine that we are together. And the expectation is that probably they will date. That was the expectation.
Yeah, and I think, you know, people don't know that. Mm-hmm. And so, like, they think, like, oh, we joined the house, got together.
And then started dating.
And then, like, it fucked the group kind of thing.
But, but it was agreed on well before we ever signed the lease. And if I had known that people were not comfortable with me dating Kelly, I would have lived in New York by myself.
Yeah, and guys, remember, like, it's not like just, like, Ashley and I are the only people seeing other people and stuff. Like, you know, people in the house...
Everyone else sees other people.
Like, yeah, it's not like we live in this bubble where it's like, no one else comes in the house, no one does anything. Like, just like you guys, we have friends and go hang out. Like,
yeah.
I just do think
people have other people to lean on too. I just
Everyone in our house has a mom and dad that like loves them, and I've met everyone's family. They all have wonderful families, and like I'm just saying, like everyone has some type of people to talk to and
support. Everybody has support. Yeah.
Okay, now this is probably some juicy shit. Whatever. Basically, we got together about a month before the house ended. We were under the impression at the time that we would renew. I thought that we were gonna start making group channel videos. We'd film some group channel videos.
I know, like now we have
two great group channel videos.
Great videos.
That will never see the light of day, probably.
That no one will ever see.
And so, like, basically, Elliot and I had a conversation, basically, where Elliot was saying that he's a little iffy about the house and if we should continue. I think that started a lot of drama. Just the fact that it was ending, we had all, like, agreed that, all right, this is it. Like, this is the end of your mom's house. We weren't seeing all eye to eye. I mean,
Elliot did not live there anymore. I saw him maybe once.
Yeah.
In like the past like 2 months.
And I'm just gonna be honest, like he like talked so much shit behind my back. He told my friends that I was whipped. He said that I would do anything for Ashley. He said all this shit. Like he said he hated Ashley. He said like I was just like I could just keep going with these things that he said behind my back. He's trying to put Luke and myself against each other, and I'm like, Luke is my friend for 8 years. Like, come on, guys. Like, the things that, like, Elliot said behind my back, and I just was, like, made me so upset that, like, how, like, a best friend does not do this. Like, tried to help you. I'm sorry that I have a girlfriend. Like, it made me so upset. When we ended your mom's house, I was really sad that I knew that I wasn't going to be living with my best friend. I was just sad that I didn't get to go down the hallway and knock on his door and be like, what's up? Let's go play basketball. Because the simple things, I really care about Elliot. And then when all this shit came out about him talking about me and stuff, and I'm only sharing a glimpse of things that he said about me.
I think the other thing, I know that because you're a very protective boyfriend, I think he also said a lot of shit about me, which I am just kind of like, at that point I was kind of just like, whatever. But Kelly, it made Kelly very upset. Actually, I wasn't like, whatever, because there was one thing that I heard that like literally, I remember hearing this from my friends and like literally sitting on the couch and crying. Going to the house, we are trying to form an LLC. We did not make a single penny off any of our group endeavors. We couldn't even do the LLC basically because we had initially agreed we're gonna do this split equally. At this point, it's just me, Kelly, Elliot. So we're like, hey, we're gonna split it equally, 33.3%, very equally between everyone. And just like slowly, like as things goes on, it's just like it's not moving along. And then eventually we hear from one of our friends that this is where like I had still felt like, despite everything that was said, I still felt like maybe Ellie and I can be like really good friends still. Like we can maybe make things work, or I just have to talk with him. Like we'll figure it out. And this is just like where I literally felt so disrespected and like not given value almost as a person. I hear, despite all of the effort that everyone has equally put into the house to grow it and to like make it a thing and like to just help each other out. Rising tide rises, I can't even say it. Rising tide rises all the ships. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone put in so much work into this. Like the initial 4 of us, we put in so much work into this. It was just always for the benefit of the group. And I hear now that Elliot is saying, hey, I actually think Ashley doesn't deserve any equity in the house. I think only Kelly and I should have equity in the LLC, split 50-50, because this was our baby. This was something that we put together first. But I just think that was so incredibly unfair because without me and Anne-Marie having agreed to be in the house would absolutely not have existed. There would just be no house. It felt so bad in that situation to be in a group with 2 boys, to just kind of be literally like set aside as the only girl in this situation and said, hey, she doesn't deserve equity. That's where I feel like I drew the line of like, I just felt so unsupported. First of all, as a friend, all this stuff said behind my back, can't support my relationship with my boyfriend. And then just to hear, he doesn't even feel like I should be having a say. First of all, like we have chapter meetings. He doesn't feel like I should be having a say in like what the group should do. I shouldn't have any share of the equity of our like company at all. Like just to be cut out of that, like literally just made me feel like shit.
Over the course of this whole thing, he talked to me multiple times, almost just like, Kelly, like, this was you and I's baby. Like, it should have been just you and I making the calls or whatever. And no one, we're not, like, I hate the baby. Like, no one's baby. Like, bruh.
Yeah.
We are, if it's a group, we're a group. Then it is a collective baby.
Yeah, I just think he's more situated to be like a solo entrepreneur.
Which is fine.
I think that's like a learning experience that like we can go from, and then he can take that as it is. But like, I just think as like a group with any of those like thoughts or that kind of like, it was just literally doomed from the start.
Genuinely, when I see like we have like comments pulled up and we are just like looking at them again, which is like, it's hard not to look because it's just like brutal. When there's like, you know, Elliot started this house, so brave of him to like step aside. Like, this is the first time I ever even say this. Like, Elliot didn't start the house. Like, when I was in my frat house, when I was living in Tucson, I had a dream of doing a creator house. Like, I wanted to travel with creator friends. That was my dream. And so I talked to Elliot about it. Like, hey, I want Elliot to be a part of this. Like, he was my best friend. And so like we started talking, and Elliot and I started looking for apartments, started like, hey, should we do it in LA? Should we do it in Arizona? Should we do it in Florida? Should we do it here? Like, we like literally Elliot and I both we started the house. I know it doesn't really matter where the credit is, but like a lot of people think like, oh, Elliot is the owner of your mom's house. It just can't be further from the truth. Like, it's split equally. And once we joined, like once like the house was together, we looked around the table and said like, hey guys, we're all splitting 25, 25, 25. Yeah. That's what it said. But when they went down the line, Elliot actually wanted it to be myself and Elliot. And which basically means like he almost wanted it to just be himself, because he knows that I don't care about the business side. I care more so about just like making the content. And so meaning he would just basically have like the reins in that sense, in my opinion. So like unfortunate for everyone involved that it's gotten to the point where, we have to make this statement, because
I just want there to like be clarity, because I don't think like we're saying things but like not giving enough.
I mean, it was my fault for not giving you guys enough clarity and context with my statement that I made in my video. That the fact that like, even that statement was not actually about Elliot's video. I literally just could not believe he was saying these things about me. Yeah. But
I could see it came from a place of hurt.
It came from a place of hurt. So like where Elliot's coming from, it's not like, I just don't understand why it got to that certain point. Like, why couldn't we have talked about it? Why couldn't we have done these things? And this is just what happened.
Yeah, and then it just like ended with like that last like final blow, and I feel like that's what kind of set it over the edge.
I know like in the heat of the moment right now, like I'm not hyped about it, but I'm just saying like, maybe in a year, it's just like, hey, we get over these type of things, and and like we see Elliot and we go, what's up, man? Like,
I think sometimes just distance and time like makes things better.
Yeah, and another thing, just like why I'm still upset to this day with Elliot is like when these things came out and he was saying all this shit behind my back. We had a conversation. We were in Idaho. So random. We had an hour-long conversation, and basically Elliot apologized to me about the things that he said behind my back. He was just like, he was angry in a moment of rage, but he did not apologize for certain things that I still felt like he should apologize for. And like the fact that he lied to you, I was so upset. I was like, you lied about the equity. You lied about to our faces that it was a equal split. Could not get over that. And other things that he said, like he still wouldn't admit like certain things that I was just like, dude, like come on, like this is so annoying. Like I can't believe you right now. Like this isn't like my best friend that I remember. I just like saw a completely different person in my eyes, and I left it with this. I said, Elliot, I can get over this. Elliot, I will get over the fact that you lied to me and said this shit behind my back. All you need to do is apologize to Ashley. There was a few weeks span before the end of the lease, and Elliot never apologized. I just felt like I wasn't asking for much besides an apology to Ashley, who like literally just like was getting attacked from like, just to me. Like it just like blew my mind that he couldn't apologize even to the last day. At the end of the day, just reiterating, the only reason that we're here is because, well, we care about our community. We care about you guys. The stuff that happens in our lives, like we're handling it on our end. We've been trying to talk as a group. It's like in the past already. Like we're coming on here to do this video because talk to you guys and give you guys full transparency. You guys deserve it. We love making videos. We love our community because of all the things going on. Like we just like had to make a statement.
Another thing I would also want to know is that, as you guys know, Elliot took a break off of YouTube. Before he announced that he was taking a break, he was still like taking a break off of YouTube, and like during that time he's not going to be on other people's channels as well. Yeah. And even like prior to that, he like made it more apparent to like me and Kelly that like he wasn't feeling it with YouTube very much. He didn't really want to be in the videos. So I do think it's kind of unfair for the viewers to say, hey, like he really wasn't included in any of the videos like over the summer, but he asked us not to include him.
Yeah.
So
you were never on his channel because Elliot never really asked you to be on his that often, unless it was like a group thing, and then
and that's fine because like we're both busy. I don't feel like I needed to be on his channel. I'm not mad that I'm not in some of his videos. Like literally, I do not care. Like I don't think Elliot cares that he wasn't on my channel. We're just like, hey, we're all busy. Like we don't care. So it's like frustrating that like the viewers care. From Elliot's perspective, I can totally see it being upsetting to see, hey, Kelly and Ashley are still posting consistently. It sucks that he like had a little like phase of burnout, like when we were still feeling like the fire to like pump out videos. Like it's just like all really bad timing, and like I can absolutely like I can see where he's coming from. I am very sorry to him for not realizing that something was wrong and for reaching out as much as I maybe should have. I really tried to do group stuff, and I really wish that he talked to me, because like I said, like I can check in on him. Like I feel like I did check in on him. I did try to do group things, but maybe it like I guess it just wasn't enough. And like you said, I think Elliot has different values for friendship and really wants people that are like really, really there for him all the time. Maybe I should have spent more like very deep time with Elliot, and I don't think I got the chance to. But I also, like Kelly said, I got the vibe that he didn't like me, and that made me like a little more hesitant to spend one-on-one time with him, because I feel like he didn't want me to be around. Like that's just like you know what I mean?
It's true. It was true. Like I mean, it's like you obviously like you could read the room. Like Elliot did not. He's not very happy when I'm especially.
There. Yeah.
But I think we can talk about this forever. Like we shouldn't ramble for 10 hours. It won't make any sense. I think I want to leave this video off with like, hey,
we're all
I just tried to call Elliot. I would love to talk, sit down together and actually do that podcast. If we want to like, hash it out with you guys, because we owe you guys the world. Like I'm very much so happy to sit down, have a podcast. But yeah, I just texted Elliot and would love to chat. I think we should hash it out all together, so it's not like so much one side. Hopefully we can. But thanks, guys. I hope this gives you guys some context to why this whole situation went down.
Yeah, and thank you just to supporting everyone, like in the house as a whole, and for watching us in general. Like, obviously it's been such a learning experience, and all the experiences will take us further and bring us to different points of our lives. So I think, I don't think anyone regrets going into the house. I think it was...
Yeah, I think I can speak for everyone that's been involved with the house. We want everyone to do well.
Yeah.
No one came in the house wanting to hurt other people. Thanks for supporting each and every one of us. Not only Ashley and I, but everyone. And I hope you guys respect, our privacy and the fact that we're all human.
I agree.
I have nothing else to say.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.